Welcome to Lito's Language Lab. I'm really glad you're here for our new episode. This is our time to practice speaking Spanish, build stronger communication, and train your ears and voices to think in Spanish. So get your Spanish brain ready, get your Spanish voice ready, because it's time to jump in and have some fun with Spanish. Vamos! By now you know that Spanish uses noun helpers to help us talk about nouns. So far we've seen el and la, un and una, este and esta. Nouns don't usually work alone. They need other words to help us tell more about them. As we've seen, every word belongs to one of 8 parts of speech. Words have jobs, and when we understand a word's job, we understand how to use it correctly in Spanish. Noun helpers are a special kind of adjective because they help us describe how we're talking about a noun. Noun helpers help us answer questions like, is the noun close to me? Is the noun further away? Are we talking about one particular noun or a noun in general? These are very important words in our effort to communicate. Today, we're learning 2 new noun helpers. In English, these noun helpers mean that. When we say that, we're talking about a noun that is not close to us. It might be further away or across the room or not just here. In Spanish, we have 2 options for that. Ese, Esa. Ese is the masculine form and esa is the feminine form. Just like all noun helpers, ese and esa always come before the noun. They stand in front of the noun and tell us more about it. In Spanish, adjectives and nouns have to agree. That means they have to match. If the noun is masculine, we're going to use ese. If the noun is feminine, we're going to use esa. That's why we say ese libro, esa maleta. So how do we know which one to use? We see that nouns have to agree, but how do we know if we're going to use ese or esa? Do noun helpers choose by themselves? No, the noun is the boss. The noun tells the helper whether it's going to be ese or esa. This is why it's so important to learn the gender of the noun as we're learning our new nouns. Like we've said before, when we talk about gender, we're not talking about boys and girls, masculine and feminine. This is about how Spanish organizes words. And remember, every noun has a gender, and noun helpers match that gender. Say this after me. Ese and esa help us talk about that noun. A noun that is further away. Awesome! Let's start using ese and esa to build real Spanish. Say that book.
Ese libro.
Say that pencil.
Ese lápiz.
Say that eraser.
Ese borrador.
Say that marker.
Ese marcador.
Say that notebook.
Ese cuaderno.
Say that map.
Ese mapa.
Say that passport.
Ese pasaporte.
Say that country.
Ese país.
Say that hat.
Ese sombrero.
Excellent. Now let's practice our feminine nouns using esa. Say that flag.
Esa bandera.
Say that capital.
Esa capital.
Say that food.
Esa comida.
Say that music.
Esa música.
Say that adventure.
Esa aventura.
Say that suitcase.
Esa maleta.
Perfect. Let's mix it up a little now and practice with our nouns again. Say that notebook.
Ese cuaderno.
Say that food.
Esa comida.
Say that pencil.
Ese lápiz.
Say that flag.
Esa bandera.
Say that passport.
Ese pasaporte.
Say that music.
esa música,
Say that marker.
ese marcador,
Say that adventure.
esa aventura,
Say that book.
ese libro,
Say that capital.
esa capital,
Say that eraser.
ese borrador,
Say that map.
ese mapa,
Say that hat.
ese sombrero,
Say that country.
ese país,
Say that suitcase.
esa maleta.
Fantastic use of ese and esa. Now that you can choose ese and esa with individual nouns, it's time to use them inside full Spanish sentences. Say, you don't need that book.
No necesitas ese libro.
Say, you don't have that pencil.
No tienes ese lápiz.
Ask, do you have that eraser?
¿Tienes ese borrador?
Say, I don't need that marker.
No necesito ese marcador.
Say, you have that notebook.
¿Tienes ese cuaderno?
Say, I have that map.
Tengo ese mapa.
Say, you need that passport.
¿Necesitas ese pasaporte?
Say, you have that country.
¿Tienes ese país?
Say, I need that hat.
Necesito ese sombrero.
Say, you need that flag.
Necesitas esa bandera.
Say, you don't have that capital.
No tienes esa capital.
Say, you don't need that food.
No necesitas esa comida.
Say, you need that music.
Necesitas esa música.
Say, I need that adventure.
Necesito esa aventura.
Say, I don't have that suitcase.
No tengo esa maleta.
Wow, truly amazing work. Now you can talk about that noun in Spanish using ese and esa. You're learning how Spanish really works, step by step, with meaning. And next time, we're going to bring este, esta, ese, esa, el, la, and una together and start choosing between them like real Spanish speakers do. I love learning Spanish with you today in Lito's Language Lab. Keep practicing your Spanish because Spanish grows when you speak it. Hasta pronto!